Hello and welcome to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, Patty Radikovich, and it's my pleasure to bring you information on animal rescues and the animal rescue community. On today's episode, our guests are from Crafty Cat Rescue, and they came all the way up from Ann Arbor to talk to us today, so I want to thank you ladies for coming out.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So I want to introduce you real quickly, and this is Debbie, and you are the president of the group. Sarah, you're with public relations for the group, and then Tina, you are the vice president, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Crafty Cat?
Originally it started up with just my mom Debbie and I back right when I was in high school, and it was just the two of us. We ran it out of her home as a foster base, which we are currently foster based, but we now have more foster homes as well. Then about, was it like 3 years, 4 years?
4 years, sure.
And she started working for Mosaic Feline Refuge, which I eventually went to work for as well, and we kind of toned down Crafty Cat because Mosaic was better funded, it had more resources. But when the owners decided to retire this past year, we the two of us and some of the other workers, some of the volunteers, decided that we didn't want to get out of animal rescue. Instead of trying to find another rescue to go work for, we decided to start Crafty Cat back up.
Okay.
And we're much larger than we were originally.
Great, that's great. So that happens with a lot of rescues as you start up, and then you go to one that makes sense to pull your resources, and then people retire or change direction in their lives, and so it's great that you guys had this group that you could fall back on and pick back up, so the animals still got the care that they need. So can you tell us, what is the mission of Crafty Cat?
That's mainly we take in stray, abandoned, abused, neglect cats and small rodents. We do a little bit of owner surrender, but it's kind of a emergency basis. Because there's much more need for the ones that are left out in the cold or stuck in an apartment when somebody moves.
Okay, I think I think some people might find the dichotomy funny that you said that you do cats and then small rodents.
We had that pointed out to us before.
You're not feeding the rodents to the cats.
No.
So you guys are foster based, and so your animals go into foster homes.
Yeah. We'd like to be able to have our own shelter.
Okay.
But that's a big financial endeavor, and you don't do that from the front unless you have some big bucks coming in. But so we have the main foster is actually a couple rooms at my house.
Okay.
And then we have a few other people that are fostering, mainly mommies with babies.
Okay, great. So why don't we bring out some of the cats right now before we get more in depth into what you guys actually do. So we have some little babies coming out. So who do we have here?
This is Dylan, and Dylan is about 10 weeks old. He was found a couple weeks ago in the woods behind one of our volunteers' house, him and his brother just screaming. It was after that real big rainstorm, and they were just kind of covered with mud. And so she called us and said, hey, can you take these two little guys? And they're very, very friendly. They actually act like bottle-fed babies.
Okay.
And his brother is getting neutered today.
Okay.
His turn's coming up soon.
All right. Okay, so the next one that you guys have?
It's okay, Dill.
Here's your baby.
This is Elvis. He's my foster. He's about 9 weeks old, and you can see he's very small compared to another kid about the same age. He was found in an abandoned apartment building with his brother, but his brother didn't make it. They were skin and bones when we got him, so I took him home to fatten him up. And I think we did a pretty good job so far.
I was going to say, he's got a little belly on him. So. And then the next one we have.
This is Amy. She's almost a year. She's about 10 months. She came in with her kittens. And she has tried to mother every kitten she's found since.
Okay. So she's a mama that likes to have little kittens. So.
Yep.
So
she's a real chill girl.
Now, do you guys primarily focus on abandoned kittens, or is it just all
We actually do all ages. It's just the season for kittens, so we
Okay.
have more of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have she said we have a couple rooms at her house. One is primarily for kittens, one is primarily for older cats, so they don't have to put up with kittens.
Right. Yep. A lot of people don't realize that, especially when you get into more senior cats. A lot of them, their grandma or grandpa, and they don't want to put up with the
Yeah,
kittens. And
definitely.
And we do have several senior cats.
Okay. Great. So, why don't we talk a little bit about the endeavors that you guys do? One of the things you told me about your group is that you really focus on helping out with feral and community cats with TNR. So can you tell me about that and who you partner with for that?
Sarah, you want to go for that one? Or?
Well, the organization is called Feral Kitty Trappers. They do a lot of, as you said, TNR, a lot of trapping, neutering, releasing. And then with the kittens, especially tamer kittens, they come to us and we tame them up and get them their any medication that they need or anything else that they need, and then we find great homes for them. We've actually adopted out many kittens already this year from Feral Kitty Trappers.
Great.
We also sometimes, they'll find an adult that somehow ended up with a colony when they were left behind, when someone moved or something that is not feral, that we take in and rehome.
So Elvis is
He's doing
Elvis
well,
is pretty
feisty.
vocal right now. So
He just woke up from a nap. so.
okay.
Lots
now-
of energy.
We've had other people talk about TNR in the show, but it's always good to have a refresher because some people may not have seen past shows. So talk a little bit about what is a feral cat, what is a community cat, the terminology, how does that all work?
Well, feral cats basically are cats that aren't comfortable with human interaction. And you should never approach a cat, let it approach you. We always caution a lot of kids with that. So feral cats are very community-oriented. And so they will live in little colonies, clusters. And you'll see them a lot, apartment buildings, a lot of them will be formed. They aren't wild. A lot of those are from people moving out and just leaving their kitties. But there'll be a lot of times in the woods, near trailer parks, industrial parks, and there can be as few, as 5 or 6 up to, I've seen colonies that have, 30, 40 cats. And once a TNR is trap, neuter, return. So you trap them and you get them spayed or neutered, and they get an ear tip. And that way, if you see a cat with an ear tip, you know it's been fixed and it belongs to a managed colony, which means somebody is managing it. And then they go back, once they're healed, they go back to their colony. And sometimes you can't take them back there. Then we try to rehome. We have farms we try to put them on, different rescues. Some of them have some kind of like out center farms. And you'd be surprised, there actually are quite a few feral colonies in cities. Yeah.
Right. So, and just to clarify, so a managed colony means it's a colony where there is a caretaker, they're feeding the animals.
Yep.
That's what they mean by managing the colony. And the ear tips, just so people know, is it's not, it doesn't harm the animal.
Oh, definitely,
and it's done while they're under anesthesia, getting fixed anyways. So it's not an inhumane way to do it. In Michigan, we do the ear tips. Other places do an ear notch. Here, you can't do that because frostbite can occur during the winter, but the ear tip doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and it
negative.
actually is, it doesn't harm the cat, and it actually saves the cat a lot of grief. Because if that cat gets trapped again,
Exactly.
they don't have to put it under to check to see if it's
Right.
been spayed or neutered. They can say, oh, this one's tipped, he can go back out.
And it can actually save the lives of some because kittens shouldn't be put under anesthesia twice in their first year of life. It can have negative effects. So if they can see right away that the cat's already been fixed, they don't have to risk that.
Right. So now, how did you start your partnership with? Is it feral? You said it was feral kitty keepers.
Yeah, feral kitty trappers.
Kitty trappers. Okay.
Well, when we were with Mosaic, they had approached us.
Okay.
With they were trying to find somewhere to, actually for people to help, we were looking for families to help tame some of the kittens up. And then once they were tamed in the foster home, then they could come to the shelter, get fixed, and be adopted.
Okay.
And we started a small partnership with that right near the end of Mosaic. And then it worked so well that she asked if she could, just keep going with us.
Okay, great. And so now, how does that? So do people contact you if there's a feral cat, and then you put them in contact with the other group, and then you
Yeah.
end up taking the kittens if they're tame? Is that how the partnership works?
Yeah.
We put them in contact with them, and then they contact us when they find kittens
Okay.
or cats they think are tame. A lot of times they're working with a lot of big colonies. They've been working on getting all the cats for quite a while, and they'll find that they missed one, or one more was dropped off, and surprise, there are new kittens.
Yeah.
Okay.
A year later, yes.
Yes.
And why do you think it's important for you guys to focus on some of the ferals and the feral colonies?
Well, the one thing, too, that a lot of people don't realize is once a cat is spayed or neutered, it doesn't wander. It stays in the same area. Also, it helps the interbreeding. You don't have the sickness. And it also helps with the population control, because as those ones pass, if the person wants to keep the colony going, we can, farm out some more ferals from somewhere where they couldn't live. And it also, it's much healthier for the cats to be spayed or neutered.
And taking the kittens, they have a chance at a better quality of life
Yeah.
than their parents had. And we actually see that a lot. If we have a fully feral mom, she will, once she sees we're providing food and everything, she'll actually push the kittens towards us.
Okay, great. So now, that's not the only group that you partner with. One of the things you said that was important to you is partnering with other shelters or rescue groups. So can you talk about that?
We don't actually partner with anybody else. We've done a lot of work with different rescues in the area. A lot of our cats this year have come from either hoarding situations that other shelters have gone into and then put a call out, hey, can anybody else take some of these guys? Or we had a batch come in from a shelter that was clearing out to put in a hoarding situation.
Okay.
And there have been a lot of hoarding situations this year. But we've also just been in contact with some other shelters and rescues in the area. We've talked about doing group events for fundraising and for
Okay.
getting awareness about the cats out. And,
Okay.
then we do a lot of, well, you're looking for this, we don't have that, but we talk to this other group and we know they have that.
Okay, that's
kind of
great.
thing.
And that's part of what our show is about, is to help the public understand, which group, because each group kind of has their own little niche, and everybody specializes in something different, and so it helps for the public to understand who does what. If I have this type of an animal, who do I contact if it's an animal that has a chronic illness, or an animal that might need hospice, or a kitten that I found, or a feral cat. So that's great that you guys are doing that, is communicating with those other groups. And were you going to say something, Sarah?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, one of the things you said that's also very important to your group is getting information out there about veterinary care and the spaying and the neutering, microchipping, things like that. So why don't we start with microchipping? So what's the message that you usually tell people about microchipping?
We've actually had some people that don't want to do the microchipping. We've had some people that feel it's invasive, but we've had people find their cats through it. We've had cats that we thought were placed in good homes that were later dumped, that we found again through the microchipping, and it really makes the cat a lot safer, and reduces a lot of risk to them. And we really, really encourage it. We microchip all our animals before they go out.
Okay.
Yeah, because indoor cats get out. And a lot of people don't put collars and tags on their indoor cats. Also, outdoor cats lose their collars. My cat will keep a collar maybe 2 hours. And so I feel very comfortable knowing that they can't lose their microchip, that the microchip is part of them for the rest of their life. It's registered in my name. They'll call me. If any shelter finds them, they'll be returned to me. And that's very comforting to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they don't realize that, first of all, because they say, oh, my cat's only going to be indoors. You never know. The cats can always get out. And the problem with some collars is, with cats, is their collars get hung up on things easier than a dog. And so the advice is do a breakaway collar. But if you do a breakaway collar, then the collar is going to obviously break away and fall off. And so you need a way to identify the cats. And we do microchipping as well, and we do microchippings at our vaccine clinics that we hold. And one of the things that is really important that we try to get across to people is, first of all, you have to register your chip. There's a lot of people that microchip and they don't register their chip.
That's true.
And then there's not a way to really to trace back to the person. There is, I mean, just so people know the way microchips work, is that whoever the organization is that inputs the chip, whether it's a vet office or if it's assigned to a rescue or something, that information is always tied to it. But most people will just hear it's not registered. That's the end of it. You can, if it's not registered, you can ask where was it from. If that place keeps good records, they may be able to track down which client bought the chip. But it's so important to register your chip. And we also tell people is, when you're going for irregular vet visits, just ask them to scan the chip, because you never know. Sometimes chips might, if they migrate.
They do, yes.
Sometimes we've had
move down the leg.
Yeah, we've had a few that usually it's right at the time of the chipping, but sometimes, especially for older animals, they have thinner skin. If it's not glued shut, the microchip can work its way back out. For young kittens, it can work its way back out because they're supposed to be quiet for the first 24 hours after chipping. Some kids very hard to keep a kitten down, even after surgery. So we always just tell people it's good practice that, when you go get your regular checkup, just ask your vet to scan. It doesn't cost anything. And just make sure that the chip is still functional. And, it's just like anything else, is they should last for 20 years. But, sometimes if there's you get a dud in the batch or something, at least you can get it replaced.
We actually had a cat checked for a tumor that turned out to be its microchip moved down to its back leg.
Things happen. I've had on my dog, her chip moved all the way down, and then it moved all the way back up.
Oh.
So it was very bizarre, but it moved and then moved back up. So now also spaying and neutering is important to all of us in rescue, but what message do you want to get across about spaying and neutering?
Well, I think that, for one, it's healthier for your cat to be spayed or neutered. Again, if they do get out, they're less likely to wander. An example, too, that you get into the hoarding situations without realizing it. I mean, one of them we worked with earlier this year, she started with 2 cats 3 years ago. We went in to help with one of the other rescues, and they had, 80 adults? And every chair and couch we turned over, there were litters of kittens in it. So, and that was just in the matter of 3 years. So they can multiply like mad. The shelters, there's only so much that can be done for them. So, and so much room. So, people don't realize that, if they let their cat have kittens, that they're depriving some strays or ones that need homes from getting them.
Yeah, and I think people don't often realize the statistics, but about 4 million animals a year in the U.S. are put down in shelters because there's overpopulation and there's just not enough home. And 75% of those, or 3 million, are cats. And people don't realize that, and that's one of the reasons it's important to spay and neuter, is to help reduce that needless euthanasia of healthy animals, simply because people don't want to get their animals fixed.
Yeah.
And then we get people who don't realize that it's also better for the health of the cat to get fixed. If a female cat goes into heat before she's fixed, she has higher odds of cancer later in life. And if she has kittens, she has higher odds as well. We've had that problem with a lot of cats we've rescued from breeding situations. And then they're less likely to fight. Like she said, they're less likely to roam and pass diseases, catch diseases.
There are sexually transmitted diseases in cats, and spaying and neutering them can really cut that down. Things like feline AIDS are often transferred during sexual contact, and that's a horrible thing to put your cat through if you don't have to,
Right, and I think, and too, like you were saying with the cancer risk, is obviously people don't realize too that male cats can get, and male dogs, they can get testicular cancer, and female cats, I mean, pretty much almost any cancer you can get in a human, you can get in an animal. And by spaying and neutering, you're eliminating that risk, so it is healthier. And I know a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't fix them because they'll get fat afterwards. They'll just gain all this weight. And it's really, it's more about, you have to keep your animal active. Don't overfeed them, because it's really, that more has to do with the people themselves, and that's I think the biggest reason we've heard for not wanting to get them fixed is because they'll get lazy. And
we've had a lot of I don't want their personality to change.
Oh yeah.
And if there is any personality change, it's usually just that they become less aggressive.
Yeah, it's for the better.
Right. And that's what we tell people too, is especially, you know, if people don't get their animals fixed, it cuts down on the marking, because you get a lot of phone calls of my
Yes.
animal is marking.
Yes,
in
we
the house,
do.
it's like, the first question is it fixed? And if the answer is no, it's like, go get it fixed. It also, people don't realize that it'll cut down on the yowling that they do when they're in heat, or the male's trying to get outside when there's a female
Yes.
in heat.
We had that problem with Amy, who was just on.
Yeah.
When she first came in, she went into heat, and yeah, she was a loud creature.
She was a lot of company.
Yeah, but I think if people don't realize that, you know, some of these problems that they have in cats that are unfixed, it can be completely eliminated once
Yes.
the animals are fixed.
They also seem to relax after they've been spayed or neutered. They're more content, you know, especially indoor cats. You know, because they don't feel the need that it's a hormone drive. You know, but we all know what hormone drives are like, and you know, if they don't have that, then they don't have the mood swings, and they're just calmer and more content.
Right. So what other information do you usually tell people about veterinary care in general for their animals?
We like to put out a lot of the low-cost ones, just because we do get calls, I can't afford to keep my animal anymore. We like to help people with the resources for that. That's very important. And we like to raise awareness on the different diseases. If we get calls going, well, my cat has this, and oh my God, I don't know what to do. We get that quite a bit, and we like to help walk people through it. We always encourage anyone who adopts, or anyone in general, just call us if you have any questions, if you need advice on anything like that.
Okay.
Because it's like you were saying with the cancer, people don't realize the different diseases they can get. A lot of times we'll be explaining to something to someone and they'll go, oh, I didn't know cats could get that too.
Right. Yeah, almost any disease that a human can get, cats can also, and dogs can get too.
Yes, yes.
So I want to bring out, you have 3 more cats that you brought with you today. So I want to bring those out.
Hi, Charlotte.
So who do we have here?
This is little Charlotte. She does not stop purring. I don't know if you can see, but she has a slight head tilt.
Okay.
She came to us, and it was they thought it was a eardrum rupture, but it's a deep inner ear infection.
Okay.
And it's clearing. It's still drained, but they said she's doing really good. She still has the head tilt. She might always have a little bit of a head tilt. She was found, just a stray. She has not stopped purring since she came to us.
So if somebody wants a purr box, she's the
She's
one to go to.
very purr,
she's a
very
doll.
cuddly. She's also, you wouldn't guess from this, but she's also a very active kitten.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and this one
Who is this?
That's Cornelius.
This is Cornelius. I don't really know Cornelius. Somebody else has to talk about him.
He was one of them that came from, we were trying to help out with one of the county humane societies clearing room for a hoarding situation in their county, that there weren't any local rescues to help them. So he came in with his mom and 5 siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And we have one more, and I know you said that you have an abundance of black and white ones right now.
Yes.
So who's this little one?
Is this Lila?
Willow.
Willow. Hi, Willow. This is Willow. Her mom was actually hit by a car.
Okay.
And she was old enough to eat solid foods, but she still acts like a bottle baby because she was young enough that she kind of attached to humans. She's got a bit of a snarfle that's just starting.
Okay. So if anybody is interested in adopting any of the cats that they saw today or any of the other ones, what do they need to do? What's your process?
They can contact us via email, via Facebook, via phone, and we unfortunately all volunteer our time, so we all have jobs outside of it, so we have to do appointments or visitation by appointments.
Okay.
But they just call, they can set up an appointment. Most of our cats are housed at the main foster home. If they're interested in somebody else, we can have them brought there, or some of the foster parents will have people come and view them there.
We also have the cats listed on Pet Finder.
Okay, great. So if they want to see additional cats, they can go to Pet Finder or your
Yes.
Facebook page or your website and find the cats there. And I know that you guys probably, like most rescue groups, are always looking for volunteers. So if somebody wants to volunteer with you
Absolutely.
guys, they can
Always.
contact you through that information and get in touch with you.
Yep, we can use cat cuddlers, or if they're so inclined, they may clean.
On our website, we actually have the volunteer application out.
Okay, great. Well, we are just about at the end of the show, so I wanted to thank you guys for coming out and for bringing all of your kittens and all the great information that you presented to everybody today. So, is there any last parting message that you want to get across? Said everything. See, I put them on the spot. So.
Yeah.
Cats are just as great as all the other colored cats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They're still, you would be amazed, the black cat phobia.
They're just
Okay.
they're still
still
very
there.
cuddly and wonderful, and I've always had a black cat. I love black cats.
All right. Well, we all look forward to a day when all pets are treated like family and everyone has a home. Until that time, we invite you to be part of the solution. And remember, please
Please
spay and neuter your
your
pets.
pets.
See you next time.